Hello children, and welcome to the English class of Standard 9. So children, have you every day, now I know you are not coming to school, but imagine when you are coming to school or going back home from school, what all do you see? You see somebody walking, somebody wanting to cross the road, some old man or a blind man or a blind woman or an old woman. So do you stand and help? Ask that question to yourself, and if you do, you are one of the good boys like the one in this poem that we are going to do. If you stand, because there are many things. There is one on page 36 of your English textbook. You will find one biblical reference right on this, on the first page. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It means just do something so that you know one day when you may be in that situation and somebody will come back to help you in the similar way. Always be helpful, always be kind. So because you never know when you may reach that situation and you may need help. So always think that today if I am doing something good, it's not going to go waste. Even if today my life is bad, someday somebody will help me or help somebody related to me because I have done this good deed. There are many sayings based on this one proverb. They like be a reflection of what you'd like to receive. Be a reflection. Similar meaning. Just be a reflection. Do the same things what you would like to receive. Give to others the way you would like to receive. What you give out comes back to you. That is it. Whatever you do comes back to you. So always be good to others. And this is what we are going to learn in this poem written by Mary Doe Brine. That is Somebody's Mother. The name of the poem is Somebody's Mother. Written by Mary Doe Brine. So beautiful poem, children, where you will see that a little child, how he helps one elderly old woman to cross the road. And why does he do that? And that reason why he does it is that someday somebody will help his own mother when she may become old. Do you think that way? Whenever you see somebody on the road or any other situation, not just crossing a road, anything, always think that God knows when I would be in the situation or any of my loved one would be in the same situation. And that time, some angel from somewhere will come and help them or help you. This is the thought which is the central idea of the poem, of this poem, Somebody's Mother. The central idea is that the theme of the poem is that do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That itself is the central idea. This little boy in this poem helps one old woman who is struggling, who is waiting for somebody how to cross the road. Of course, she was hesitating to cross the road, and this little schoolboy who is just left from school sees that. He notices this woman wanting to cross the road and he helps her cross the road. And when the friends ask him, oh, why did you do that? Why did you go to help? So all his answer was, God knows when my mother would be in the same situation, that time somebody would come and help her. That is what the feeling, and with that feeling that boy has helped this old woman. And the poet has written the poem in such a beautiful manner with a rhyme scheme of A, B, B, two, one after the other they are rhyming. Beautifully written. Pay attention, and many figures of speech have been used over here. So please listen and pay attention. Somebody's Mother by Mary Doe Brine. The woman was old and ragged and grey, and bent with the chill of a winter's day. The streets were white with the recent snow, and the woman's feet with age were slow. At the crowded crossing she waited long, jostled aside by the careless throng of human beings who passed her by, unheeding the glance of her anxious eye. Down the street with laughter and shout, glad in the freedom of school let out, came happy boys like a flock of sheep, hailing the snow piled white and deep. Past the woman so old and grey, hastened the children on their way. None offered a helping hand to her, so weak and timid, afraid to stir, lest the carriage wheels or the horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street. At last came out of the merry troop the gayest boy of all the group. He paused beside her and whispered low, "I'll help you across if you wish to go." Her aged hand on his strong young arm she placed, and so without hurt or harm, he guided the trembling feet along, proud that his own were young and strong. Then back again to his friends he went, his young heart happy and well content. She's somebody's mother, boys, you know. For all she's aged and poor and slow. And someone sometime may lend a hand to help my mother, you understand. If ever she's old and poor and grey, and her own dear boy so far away. Somebody's mother bowed low her head in her home that night, and the prayer she said was, "God, be kind to that noble boy who is somebody's son and pride and joy." So you see, in the poem you see, the boy helps. And what does the lady do, that old lady? So it is not just you do for that somebody may help, but you get blessings also with it. And in the end you see the blessing that old woman was so happy that today the boy helped her cross the road, that at the end of the day, when she was saying her night prayers before going to sleep, what did she say? God, be kind to that noble boy. Be kind to that noble boy who is somebody's son. He is somebody's son, and pride and joy. So happy, she said that bless that boy, be kind to that boy, always be helpful to that boy. She asked for God's grace over there for that boy. That is also you receive when you do something for others. Grace from them, blessings from them. So always keep a kind heart and be helpful to others. Now let's go verse by verse to the poem, with the poem, and understand every line. The woman was old and ragged and grey, and bent with the chill of a winter's day. So here they are just describing the woman, and of course describing the day also. How was the day? The day was very cold. How do you come to know? Because she was shivering, bent with the, and bent. The woman was not only just old, ragged, where all this thing were worn, all torn clothes, wearing torn clothes. She was not just old and poor and grey. Grey and old mean the same. Okay, children? Grey and old mean the same. Old and grey. They are synonyms. They are synonyms. And when two words, synonyms, come in one line, that is, we get a figure of speech called tautology. Tautology is a figure of speech It's a figure of speech where words having the same meaning are used in a line. In a line. When words having the same meaning are used in a line, it is called tautology. So here we are not just seeing that the woman, they are describing the woman, but we are also seeing the surrounding over there. So the setting over there. So you can see, because she is bent with the chill of a winter's day. So we come to know it's a winter's day, it's a cold day, chill, very cold, and she herself is shivering with it. The streets were white with a recent snow. Again, it is a place where northern place where it snows. So here we have the setting. Over here it is one thing, it is a cold day, it is a snowy day, and the woman's feet with age were slow. So, and this lady was slow because she was old. Now the woman's feet with age were slow. I am writing this line again over here. The woman's feet with age was slow. Now if you look at this line, when you see this, the woman's feet with age were slow. Grammatically we don't say like that. What we would say, the woman's feet were slow with age. So the grammatically the correct sentence would be, the woman's feet were slow. Feet were slow with age, because of age. We would say it like this. This is the correct sentence grammatically. This is grammatically not correct, but it is used in that way. The poet has used it so that the words rhyme, and so wanted slow at the end. So she has used it that way. The poet has tried to, and such a thing where the poet changes the structure, grammatical structure, such a figure of speech is called inversion. This is an inversion. It's called an inversion. Got it? So here we have an inversion where actually the sentence means, the sentence is supposed to be written like this: the woman's feet were slow with age. But the poet, to give it a poetic effect and get the rhyming word slow at the end over there, to rhyme with the snow, she wanted slow over there. So she has changed grammatically the sentence, and when you change it, that time we call it inversion. That is the figure of speech. You can underline that line and write figure of speech inversion. Okay. There is one more figure of speech which you should know. I would like you to think. Of course, I am going to tell you, but think. Now, in this line especially, the streets were white with a recent snow. The streets were white with a recent snow. Were white with. What is common in all the three words? They all begin with the sound were. Were, that is the sound of W. So it begins with were, white, with. So since the sounds are same, the figure of speech you all know is alliteration. The figure of speech is alliteration. So the next over here. So in the first stanza you can see what has been described. The woman, we come to know that she is very old and poor, and we come to know that it is also a very cold day. It's a cold day. Now let us go to the second stanza. At the crowded crossing she waited long. At the crowded crossing she waited long, jostled aside by the careless throng. So here she is waiting. One more thing you come to know of the setting is, it is a busy street. It is a street and there are many people walking aside over there, and she is waiting at the crossing to cross the road, and people were walking past her and pushing her also. Jostled, pushed. Jostled, meaning of jostled, pushed. Jostled, pushed. So jostled aside by the careless throng. So who is the careless throng? Throng is a crowd, large crowd. Throng, crowd. So you come to know another thing about the setting over here on the poem, that it is a crowded street. It is a crowded street. The street over here at the crowded crossing. So word crowded is used. Crossing, she waited long, she is waiting over there, jostled aside, and every time she is being pushed by as the people are walking. So we come to know it's a busy street in some northern region where it has been snowing. Okay, and she is being pushed over there by the large crowd of human beings who passed her by. So all these people walking around, they are just going on, pushing her, unheeding the glance of an anxious eye. Unheeding, not paying attention. They are not even looking, careless, they were just walking by and busy in their own life. This happens, isn't it? When you are also in the morning coming to school, will you stop by to help? No, you will say, my God, if I reach late to school, teacher will punish me. I will have to stand outside the gate. They will not take me in. So you are going to give more importance to being in time in school, isn't it? So this is what this girl or this lady also is thinking of being. She is over there standing and the people around must be busy walking past her, pushing her aside, not bothered and not even paying attention to her anxious eye. She is looking at her anxious. Anxious means waiting eagerly. Anxious, waiting eagerly for somebody to help over there. Her anxious eye. Anxious over here is eager, keen, and she is waiting over there for some help to come by, but nobody was paying attention to her. Okay, now let us see any figure of speech in this part of the verse. At the crowded crossing, she waited long. Crowded crossing. Underline the words crowded crossing. What sound do you hear? The sound of CR, cr. Crowded crossing. So again, what is the figure of speech over here? Alliteration. Alliteration. Okay, and then you have, we'll go to the next stanza now. Down the street with laughter and shout, glad in the freedom of school let out, came happy boys like a flock of sheep, hailing the snow piled white and deep. Past the woman so old and grey, hasten the children on their way. So again over here you see the school has just, so one more thing you come to know about the setting, that it is a place, street which is not far away from a school. It is a street which is not far away from a school. So these school children have just been left. When the bell rings, you know how children want to run out of the school. You must be all missing all that. You're like standing outside the gate and talking and then walking towards your home or towards your vans or rickshaws or whatever it is. So here you find these boys have just been left from school. The bell has rung and these children have all left from school. They are ready to go. And so they are very happy, you know. How happy you are when the school is over and the bell rings and it's over now, let's go home. So that is how these boys were glad in the freedom of school let out. So they are so happy that they are free. Always children feel like they are caught up in school. They are being like they think that school is a jail and now they are free to run out, isn't it? Came happy boys like a flock of sheep. Just like how sheep come out, like that they also, all the flock of sheep, they are all together. Similar, all these boys together were coming out of the school. So what is the figure of speech over here? Came happy boys like flock of sheep. Came happy boys like flock of sheep. I think you should remember, like, when the word like is used to describe two things, that time it is a simile. It is a simile where came happy boys like a flock of sheep, hailing the snow piled white and deep, past the woman so old and grey, hastened the children on their way. So they just walked past her. Many children, they just came, they seen her, but they also did not look at her. They just passed the woman and walked away. None offered a helping hand to her. None of them stood there and gave her a helping hand. Again over here, helping hand, her. Her, alliteration. Underline helping hand and her, and write alliteration over there. So weak and timid, afraid to stir. So none of them gave a helping hand to her. None of them helped her. And that's so weak and timid, afraid to stir. So who was so weak, timid and afraid to stir? The old woman. She was weak, timid and afraid to stir, to move. Stir, move. Timid is also kind of afraid. Timid also means afraid. So timid and afraid over here, like very weak, timid, weak, afraid, all actually can be used for one another. So another, again we come over here with tautology. Underline, because timid also means weak, shy. Timid also means afraid. So you can see weak, timid, afraid, they almost mean the same over here. So that is why it is tautology. Please underline that line and write tautology next to it. Okay, and now why was she afraid? Lest the carriage wheels or horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street. So here she was afraid. Why was she afraid standing over there? Because it was so busy and there were carriages also moving away across over there, and she was scared that what if one of the carriage just walks past her and throws her down, pushes her, tramples her. Trample, to walk over. Trample, walk over. So she was afraid that what? Lest. Lest means it is just use what if. Lest can be also here it means lest over here means what if. Here it means what if, with the fear, no? What if? What if the carriage wheels or the horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street? Why is the street slippery? The street is slippery because it had just snowed. We read in the first line, the streets were white with a recent snow. So it had just snow. So of course when there is snow, it is also slippery. The ground is slippery. So she feels that what if some carriage and horses, they just trample her, walk over her, and she falls down in the slippery street. So she was scared, and so she was just not ready to move from there. She was standing there shivering in the cold, torn clothes. Imagine that old lady. Just imagine in your head over there how that old lady must be standing, very torn clothes and old, bent because it's cold. So just think about all these things, and there she's standing just waiting with those anxious eyes, waiting that somebody will come and help her, somebody will notice her and help her in crossing the street. At last came out of the merry troop the gayest boy of all the group. He paused beside her and whispered low, "I'll help you across if you wish to go." So at last this boy has come and he is ready to help her. So we have seen the poem till here, and it's time up, so we'll do it in the next period, but a little revision of it. So here we have seen in the poem that it was a cold winter's day. It had just snowed recently, and so the streets were slippery. The street was crowded. The setting over here is it's a crowded street, not far away from a school. There's a school nearby, and here we have one old lady with torn clothes, ragged clothes, trying to cross the road. It's a crowded street, we come to know, because it is shown over the words over there are jostled aside by the careless throng of human beings who passed her by. So from that we come to know that it's a crowded street. Many people are walking, maybe going to work or going to some by their marketing or anything, whatever it is. They are just walking over there fast and they are not paid attention to this lady. And at the same time, to add to the crowd, children are also left from school and it's become even more crowded and everybody is just walking, running, and nobody is noticing this lady. And this old lady is so afraid to even move from her place because of the busy street. She's so afraid that she doesn't even want to move from there. Got it? Okay. And but from this troop of boys, the school boys, there is one happy boy who comes out and goes to help her and whispers, I'll help you if you wish to go. So here at last she's found some help. We end over here, we continue in the next period. Thank you, children.